Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Keogan. Minister, I have serious concerns about this bill. I believe its inevitable outcome will be to deny women the option of availing of life-saving supports when they need it most. This criminalisation is far too sweeping, particularly when one considers the sheer amount of safe access zones which this law would create, covering every GP clinic, hospital and family planning centre, irrespective of whether they provide abortions or not. In England and jurisdictions where similar laws exist, we have seen cases of people who have been arrested for silently praying in the vicinity of abortions clinic. What guarantee is that there that people wouldn't be arrested here for quietly praying? For example, if a small group or even an individual were to stand outside Beaumont Hospital and pray a rosary intended for the sick or for the healthcare workers, they'd be well within their rights. But if they offered intentions for the unborn child, then they'd suddenly be falling foul of this law and would be treated as having committed a crime. While this bill impacts on religious freedom is irrelevant, I am also concerned that it would prevent the possibility of any positive efforts by private citizens and Good Samaritans to offer women in unplanned pregnancies meaningful supports at a time when they need it most. Under this law, a person would be prevented from quietly standing in a public place with an optional leaflet in hand, the contents of which simply offering information or supports for women in unplanned pregnancies. I am not describing situations of the unsolicited offer of a leaflet, but rather where a person just wanted to stand there harmlessly. We know that in other jurisdictions this is done, and it has filled a gap by providing women who are considering an abortion with a much-needed lifeline. If we want to be a compassionate society which respects women, we need to ensure that no woman ever feels that she has no choice but to have an abortion. This is too often the case at present. The state-run My Options hotline acts a little more than an abortion referral service. It is well established, both in the record of this House and outside it, that there is no evidence that such legislation is needed. Senior Gardaí have repeatedly stated that existing public order legislation is sufficient to defend people from harassment and intimidation, and none of the major hospitals in this country have reported anything approaching the scenarios which pro-abortion campaigners claim are a daily occurrence. While such campaigners may smugly remind pro-life persons that the referendum is over, it remains the fact that a third of this country never wanted abortion introduced in this country, and their voices are valid and have to be counted and allowed to be heard. While we do have in this country is a tradition of silent, peaceful prayer vigils, which often do take place in the vicinity of hospitals, as a way to pray for those suffering inside. This is what this bill seeks to ban. Not harassment, but prayer. Archbishop Eamon Martin was absolutely correct when he said that such a move would further silence the voice of the innocent unborn and increase fears for freedom of religion and speech. He said, "What next? How long before it is deemed unlawful to openly express in Ireland the reasonable opinion that there are two lives in every pregnancy worth protecting, the life of the mother and the life of her unborn child?" I fear that this government is putting through this House a raft of legislation that, when combined, will severely curtail our human rights and civic freedoms. This bill will not protect women. It will deny them the opportunity to avail of assistance, to willingly receive help and counsel when it is most needed, and it seeks to ruthlessly punish all those whose conviction or faith leads them to stand up for the most vulnerable in our society, unborn babies. It is yet another government bill that seeks to punish opposition to the prevailing narrative, to copper fasten the supremacy of the majority over the minority opinion. It is a terrible proposal, and I will not be supporting this bill. Thank you.
Margaret, and this and Sharon